In a multicam workflow, the action is shot with multiple cameras and then synced during editing so that you can edit with all the cameras at once. This is a big time saver and gives you a lot of options during the editing process. So in our case, Madame Donna's interview was shot on multicam. We have a close-up and the wide shot. This is a close-up, and here we have a wide shot. If you take a look here in the assets, if I go to interview, you can see that we have camera angles, and here I have all the camera angles, A camera angles. These are close-up, and then I have these B camera angles, and those are wide shots. And I actually have already performed multi-camera sync here, and I'll just show you what it looks like, and then we can go ahead and double click here. This is our multicam sequence. Let's close this for now. We don't need that for now. Okay. So then we'll go ahead and do it. So I'll just load this into the source. I see I have both close-up and wide shots here and here. Sync together, then we play. You'll see that they are in sync.
Toppings, but no, we don't stop there.
I'll show one more time.
Passionate about this to do the kind of work that we're doing. It takes.
So all the angles are synced up like this, and when we eventually get to multi-camera editing, we will seamlessly be able to cut back and forth between the close-up and the wide shot. Alright, so let's get back to the shot here, and you can see that I have only brought down 3 different clips here. We're going to sync up these. To begin with, you need to select the related multicam clips. So let's just start with this one right here, creating great food, and you can control click and here and then right click, and out of this you can create multi-camera source sequence. At the top you name it. Here you can name this video clip name plus multicam, and then it appends with the word multicam here. You can change it, but if you like, I'll just leave it alone for now. Next choice is important here. So that's how the clips are going to be synced. One way is if the clips were shot using jam sync timecode, which means that all cameras were shot using identically generated timecode. Then you can sync using timecode option, or clips were not shot using identical timecode, so we won't be choosing that. Another way is to find a point of sync with each of these clips and then mark in or an out point at the moment, and then you can choose in points or out points. Let me just cancel out this for one moment. And I do have original clips that these interview shots came from. You do not have these in your exercise, but here they are. You're just going to load this, and I'm going to close up shot at the very beginning of the interview.
I think we will always be creative. We will always be inspired to do something.
This is of course a close-up, and the wide shot will be here. Precise action like his clap is not only beneficial for the visuals but for the audio. So if I switch over the waveform, you can see the clap occurs in the audio. If you remember, we actually took a look and in the double system workflow. So this is an identical concept. So keep it in mind that I'm going to come back to our original clip and select them, right click and create multi-camera source sequence, and we're actually going to need to sync in or out points. I'm going to instead come to the audio here. Just as with double system workflow, this is a very cool feature that actually analyzes the waveform of each of these clips and then syncs them based on the shape of the waveform, because an audio waveform is very unique. It's like a fingerprint. So when you have two clips that have identical shapes of waveforms, it's able to sync those up. So needlessly to say, this only works if audio was recorded on each of the cameras to begin with, and in our case it was. And so that is why I'm going to choose audio. There are several more options with this window, and I'm going to go not going to go over all, but I'll mention a few of them. The next one I want to mention is this one. Move the source clips to the process clips. This just means when you make a new camera source file, the original source file get aside in their own bin. So just go ahead and choose this, and then down there I want to talk about the audio section. We have an option of choosing how your audio works when you cut your video during multi-camera editing. So if you want to edit both audio and video, each and every cut, you need to switch to audio. Basically, this option takes the source audio along with the video as you make your edits. If, however, you want one camera's audio source for everything and just edit your video, then you would choose this option, camera 1. If your shoots were set up so that this could be a possibility, like if one camera captured high quality audio, that could be used for all camera angles, and that is actually the best for consistency, so that all your audio sounds the same. Just so you know, the camera is just the first shot that you choose when selecting camera angles in your project panels. So make sure to select camera with the cleanest audio first, and then that will be treated as camera 1. If you choose all cameras, then you will use all audio channels in the source clip. This is similar to camera 1 in that you're only editing the video portion of your multi-camera clips. But the difference is all audio is included and unmuted during edit. In our case, we don't want that. We don't want to switch the audio every time. So I'm going to choose that camera 1. So alright, so we have other options in the dialog box. You'd like to learn about them, you can dig into the Premiere Pro help menu and go through each one of these. For now, I'm going to set up and say OK. Let's here we have our clip.
I think we will always be creative. We will always be inspired to do something.
So here are my processed clip. I'll just go ahead and give undo for that. The processed clips. And I had mentioned the source clips that you start with to make a multi-camera sequence get put in their own bin, and that's that. And then I have my multi-camera source sequence. So let's just check and make sure that we're in sync. Here we'll play that.
I think we will always be creative. We will always be inspired to do something with food. Even with the
All right, everything is looking great. We have synced our multi-camera clips, and now we are ready to continue with multi-camera editing. And just so you know, if you have multi-cam clips, you'll need to repeat this process with every group of sync clips, so you can come in and perform the same process with each of these other groups of clips and that you have, and turn them into a multi-camera source sequences. And once all of that is done, you can begin editing with the multi-source camera clips. So we're ready to start with editing our multicam footage. So if you're jumping onto this movie and you're now new to this multi-camera editing, definitely be sure to watch through this whole thing, because we have covered very important things about syncing process you need to know. So we just need to create a sequence for our multi-camera syncs. So here is my multi-camera source sequence. I'm going to right click on that. And then choose new sequence from clip. Okay, then I'm going to add a multi-camera editing button underneath my program monitor. Here I'm going to come to my button editor. Multicam button view is right here. You can use Shift O to activate that as well. Okay, so add this guy. Okay. Okay, so here we are. We notice that we have a shortcut Shift 0, and then I'm going to toggle my multi-camera view. So at the very beginning here, I have a wide shot, but the close-up joins in very soon. And when you're multi-camera editing, you really don't need your source monitor. So you're working entirely in program monitor with the multi-cam view toggled. So I'm actually going to give myself a little more room, and so I'll drag it over like that. And then if you want, you can actually set this up as a workspace. So I'll drag this out right like so, and go to Window, Workspaces, and you can save this workspace and call it Multicam and press enter. So alright, we are set up. Let's start cutting. Go to the beginning and then simply play the sequence.
I think we will always be creative.
And then when I want to cut to a different angle, I will physically click on that camera angle. So let's just play.
Inspired to do something with food. Even with the donuts alone, we're inspired constantly by our customers or our neighbors who bring in fresh fruit or whatever it is from their backyards. I think it's amazing. We change our menu every day based on what is.
So once I stop playing, you'll see that the edits have been made in my timeline. If I zoom in, or I just press tilde and maximize that, you'll be able to see these different clips from both sequences. So if I go back here, the camera angle made a cut here, and then here, and so on. You can also use the keyboard. So let's just drag out over a little bit. We have a little more room in our timeline. If you want to cut back and forth between two camera angles, you can also use the number keys when in multi-camera mode. So this will be 1, and the shortcut for this will be 2. So I'll show that. Just play now.
We change our menu every day based on what inspired us that day.
Press 1.
Hey, we get fresh lemons today. Well, we'll make lemon meringue donuts. Or we got berries, of course. We'll make a mixed berry donut. I was missing a cheese plate, so I made a cheese donut. You know, there's constant inspiration out there.
All right. So the keys on the numpad were not working. Maybe my numwall lock was on or off, but the keys on my regular keyboard were working. So you can see the sequences coming up when I changed the camera using my numbers as shortcuts. There are no limits to amount of angles you want to edit with, but you can assign up to 16 angles to the key. If I come up to the Premiere Pro keyboard shortcuts, if I type in here, select camera, so you can see here you have 16 up to 16, and by default 1 to 9 is already mapped to 1 through 9 key, but you can map up to 16 camera angles to other keys if you like. Again, we only have 2 camera angles, very simple, but again, if you wanted to work with up to 16 camera angles with the keyboard shortcut, that's not a problem. Alright, so that's the multi-camera editing. Pretty simple. You're either clicking on the camera angle that you want, or you can use your keyboard shortcuts, but certainly you're going to find instances where you cut too late or too early, or choose the wrong camera angle. But that's not a problem at all, because you can refine all of that. So let me just actually load the sequence here. Okay, so this is the exact same thing. I've gone through and edited this portion of the multi-camera sequence, and I have a few things I'd like to change. I'm going to play over the first edit here. I want to tell you exactly what I amended.
About this to do the kind of work that we're doing. It takes hours. We hardly sleep. And then people ask me, how do you keep track of everything? I was like, I don't sleep because I actually love doing what I do. I could simplify it. We can make just one variety of dough and just change the toppings. But no, we don't stop there. We want the dough itself to have a lot of character, a lot of flavor, a lot of integrity, and different. And in this case, I think the difference is what makes us the go-to for what donuts should be. We're creating donuts like nobody's ever had. I don't really know of anybody doing that because it's so much work. It's so silly.
So I'd want to have a close-up when
of everything. I was like, I don't sleep because I actually love doing what I do. I could simplify it. We can make just one variety of dough and just change the toppings. But no, we don't stop there. We want the dough itself to have a lot of character, a lot of flavor, a lot of integrity, and different. And in this case, I think the difference is what makes us the go-to for what donuts should be. We're creating donuts like nobody's ever had. I don't really know of anybody doing that because it's so much work. It's so silly. You have to be passionate.
So I want to cut at the close-up at the word passionate. When she says specifically passionate.
Passionate. You have to be.
So I basically want to move this edit a little bit later, and I do that with the rolling edit method. We learned about roll trims in the trimming chapter, and it's over here in the menu. You can use the shortcut B as well. The rolling edit, and that's a rolling edit tool. So you can use shortcut N and then bring this over and click and drag right like so. So I precisely placed this clip, passionate
About passionate.
Alright, it's too late. I need to move that earlier. I could just drag but I want to remind us all of the different ways we have learned to trim. So let's extend the edit here. This is to her word passionate. So I'm going to just go right before that and extend it, simply choosing the mode of trim by pressing E. And it performs the trim. So if we got it.
Be passionate. Be passionate about.
Alright, so I'm happy with that cut. Let me just come on this one, and people ask me, how do you keep a track?
This to do the kind of work that we're doing. It takes hours. We hardly sleep. And then people ask me, how do you keep track of everything? I was like, I don't sleep because.
Well, it seems like a cutting point to I don't sleep to, which I believe is right here.
How do you keep track of everything? I was like, I don't sleep.
And this here. So I'm going to just click here and rolling edit tool. And put it right here.
Of everything. I was like, I don't sleep because I actually love doing what I do.
You can click and drag or remember on your keyboard. You can press the left arrow or the control right arrow to trim one frame at a time. Basically, just go through each of every edits, making sure that you have got timing right. It's important part of the multi-camera editing. Now, what if I want to switch the camera angle that I've already laid down? Well, that's easy too. So I'm gonna go my selection tool V, press V for sure, and I'm gonna play over this. I want to show you what I would change here.
I could simplify it. We can make just one. I could simplify it.
Here, she says I could simplify it. I want to change to close up. So let me just go back to the multi-camera mode. Here I'll select this clip and then play.
I could simplify it. We can make just one variety of dough and just change the topping.
So this is kind of becoming consistent from this camera here and then changing here. So I've changed this sequence to this, from this to this one. So if you just simply click on the close-up, it will be swapping the entire shot. That's not what I want. What I want is to place the cut here and then move to the close-up. So I'll add a modifier to it. I know this is my 2 camera. I would just press Ctrl 2 and there, here I have switched to my close-up.
I could.
Okay, here I would just start playing this.
I was like, I don't sleep because I actually love doing what I do. I could simplify it. We can make.
And there. So I can make 2. There I made 2 edits by swapping out the camera angles. Let me get myself out of camera view. I want to swap out this camera angle. I don't want to get into multi-camera mode. I could just right click on this clip and then come into multi-camera. And move back and forth between the various camera angles. That's okay for one-off changes, but if you're going to start anything, any sort of multi-camera editing, you definitely want to get into multi-camera editing mode. I'm going to move that back to the close-up for now. Now finally I want to mention one most common uses of multi-camera editing. That is when you remove sections of interview but you want to maintain continuity. So for example, I want to basically extract everything between these markers. So, and apostrophe to extract when I play over this. So it should make sense while audio sense wise will make a jump cut. No, we don't stop there. We're gonna switch one of these to other camera so that we maintain continuity. Here we have a close-up. And here we have a close-up. I think we do is just change this one to wide shot and then it'll work. Let's click on the wide shot and let's just play here.
We want the dough itself to have a lot of character, a lot of flavor, a lot of integrity, and different. And in this case, I think the difference is what makes us the go-to for what donuts should be. We're creating donuts that.
Alright, so it's a seamless edit. We don't need a B-roll to cover up the jump cut. So I've just used the multi-camera editings. And you can also try that out to mix and merge multiple cameras in one single clip.